Hello everyone, curious minds, and welcome to this intellectual journey. Today we confront a cathedral built of words, a structure so immense it shaped the imagination of the West forever. I'm speaking, of course, of Dante Alighieri and his Divine Comedy, but we're not just going to recite his verses. We're going to dissect the mind of the architect who built it. The question that will guide us today is profound. How did a political exile consumed by wrath and despair manage to transform his personal pain into the moral order of the entire universe? Before we begin, a quick note. To bring this narration to life, I've used artificial intelligence tools to generate the images you're seeing. Think of them as a canvas, a way to illustrate the ideas and atmosphere of our story. They won't always be a literal representation, but rather a visual accompaniment to help your imagination soar with me. I truly hope you enjoy it. To understand the comedy, we must first understand the year 1300. Dante finds himself, in his own words, in the middle of the journey of our life. He is 35 years old. But this isn't just a chronological moment, it's an absolute existential crisis. Dante is lost in a dark wood, a metaphor that resonates with anyone who has felt moral confusion. However, the dark wood isn't just personal depression, it's political. Florence, his beloved city, is a nest of vipers. Dante is a white Guelph caught in a vicious civil war. We must grasp this. Dante isn't a reclusive monk. He's an active politician, a city prior who ends up banished, condemned to death if he ever returns. Exile is the fundamental wound. Losing his earthly citizenship, Dante is compelled to become a citizen of the universe. His poem is his way of imposing justice where the real world failed. Herein lies the genius of his worldview. Dante doesn't separate politics from theology. For him, Florence's corruption is a symptom of a cosmic disorder, a rebellion against divine will. And at the heart of this worldview is Beatrice. She's not just the woman he loved in secret. In the comedy, she becomes theology itself, the vehicle of grace that human reason cannot reach. Dante is first guided by Virgil. Virgil represents human reason, classical philosophy. He is capable of much, but has limits. Reason can show you evil, but it cannot save you. The journey begins by descending. Dante's hell isn't random chaos. It's a bureaucracy of suffering, perfectly organized according to the gravity of sin. It's God's justice frozen in time. Above the gate, the famous inscription warns us to abandon all hope. But notice something crucial. It states that hell was made by justice, wisdom, and primal love. This is difficult for the modern mind to grasp. How can hell be an act of love? For Dante, free will is sacred. Hell is simply God respecting your ultimate decision to reject him. Let's talk about the moral structure. Dante uses Aristotle's ethics, but Christianizes them. Sins are divided into incontinence, violence, and fraud. Fraud is the worst because it requires intellect. Incontinence, like lust or gluttony, is weakness. It's human. But fraud betrayal is demonic because it uses reason, God's greatest gift, to do harm. In hell, Dante applies the contrapasso. The punishment isn't arbitrary, it's the perfect image of the sin. The lustful, who gave themselves over to passion, are eternally swept away by a furious wind. It's here that we see the political Dante settle scores. He finds his Florentine enemies suffering. But be warned, it's not just vengeance. Dante places even his teachers and friends in hell. Brunetto Latini's case is heartbreaking. He was Dante's mentor. Dante deeply respects him, yet places him in the circle of those violent against nature. Moral truth stands above personal affection. This teaches us that for Dante, civic or intellectual merit doesn't save the soul. You can be a great scholar or a brilliant leader and still be spiritually bankrupt. One of the most tragic moments is that of Francesca da Rimini. She blames love for her downfall, but Dante, though he faints from pity, shows us that her love was selfish and idolatry. As we descend, sin becomes colder. Hell isn't fire at its center, it's ice. Satan is frozen. Why? Because ultimate evil is paralysis, the total absence of warmth and love. Satan has three faces, a grotesque parody of the Trinity. He gnaws on Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. Note this, traitors to God and traitors to the Roman Empire. Here, everything merges. For Dante, betraying the empire, which brings political order, is almost as grave as betraying Christ. Politics and religion are the two suns that should illuminate humanity. But let's leave the ice. Dante and Virgil emerge to see the stars again. We arrive at purgatory. If hell is despair, purgatory is hope. It is the realm of time. In hell, time stands still. Everything is an eternally painful present. In purgatory, there is day and night, there is change, there is progress. It's the only place where the soul can heal. The worldview here is therapeutic. Sin has left marks, scars that must be erased. The penitents don't suffer as punishment, they suffer because they wish to cleanse themselves to be able to see God. Purgatory is also the realm of art, music, and friendship. Here, Dante encounters other poets. They discuss literature as they ascend the mountain. It is profoundly human. Here, Dante explores the psychology of vice. The proud carry enormous stones to learn humility. By looking at the ground, they stop looking at themselves and see their reality. It's crucial to understand that for Dante, love is the engine of the universe. But love can falter. It can be love for the wrong thing, or love with too much or too little intensity. Sin is nothing more than misdirected love. Envy is love for one's own good, perverted by wishing ill upon another. Purgatory reorders that love, straightening it like one straightens a twisted plant. At the summit of purgatory, Virgil must depart. Human reason has led Dante as far as it can. Now Beatrice enters. Faith and theology must take over. This change of guide is fundamental. Dante tells us that philosophy is necessary but insufficient for ultimate truths. We need revelation. We need something that transcends logic. Paradise is the most difficult and the most beautiful part. There is no longer physical geography. It is light, movement, music, and pure mathematics. It is a sublime abstraction. Dante warns the reader, if you lack the prepared intellect, do not follow me in this boat, for you will be lost. Paradise requires supreme mental effort. Here, souls don't have solid human bodies. They are dancing lights. Dante ascends through the celestial spheres: the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun. Each sphere represents a level of virtue. What's fascinating is that everyone in paradise is perfectly happy. Although some are closer to God than others, each is filled to the brim of their own capacity. There is no envy. In the sphere of the sun, Dante encounters the wise, St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Bonaventure. The curious thing is that Thomas praises Francis of Assisi, and Bonaventure praises Dominic. Earthly rivalries disappear. Dante also uses paradise to criticize the corruption of the church on earth. St. Peter himself turns red with anger as he describes how his successors have turned the Vatican into a bloody cesspool. This is pure courage. Dante, a devout Catholic, is the fiercest critic of corrupt popes. His faith is so strong that he doesn't fear denouncing those who mismanage it. Dante's universe is geocentric, yes, but spiritually it is theocentric. The earth may be at the physical center, but God is the true center around which everything revolves. Finally, Dante reaches the Empyrean beyond space and time. He sees the mystic rose, the assembly of all saints. It's an image of perfect order, a flower made of souls. And then, the final vision. Dante looks directly into the eternal light. He attempts to describe the Trinity, 3 circles of 3 colors and a single dimension, the geometry of God. In that moment, his mind fails him. High fantasy loses its power, but it no longer matters. His will and desire now spin in perfect harmony with the love that moves the sun and the other stars. Now, why does this matter today? Because Dante created the modern concept of the individual. His journey is personal. He, with his given name, traverses the afterlife. Before Dante, literature dealt with archetypes. Dante writes about himself, his fears, his doubts, his hatreds. It's the birth of modern subjectivity in literature. Furthermore, he did it in Italian, not Latin. He elevated the vernacular, the language of women and merchants, to the height of the most sublime theology. He democratized knowledge. His political vision, though it failed in his time, dreamed of universal peace. A world under a single legal order where humanity could flourish. An ideal we still pursue. Dante teaches us that our actions matter, that every small decision echoes in eternity, that we are responsible for building our own moral architecture. You don't need to believe in his literal hell to feel the weight of his ethics. The idea that evil is a betrayal of reason and love is universal. The comedy is also a treatise on happiness. Hell is total isolation. Paradise is total communion. Happiness isn't something you possess, it's something you share. Through 100 cantos, Dante integrates all the knowledge of his era: astronomy, history, mythology, theology. It's a living encyclopedia, an attempt to comprehend the totality of human experience. Consider the poem's structure. 3 parts, each with 33 cantos plus 1 introductory canto. 100 cantos in total. Everything rhymes in interlocking tercets. It's a mathematical obsession. This structure isn't mere embellishment, it's the message. Dante tells us that the universe has an order, a meaning. We don't live in chaos, we live in a cosmos designed with intelligence. Let's return to the beasts from the beginning. The she-wolf, the lion, the leopard. Incontinence, violence, fraud. Dante overcomes these beasts not by fighting them, but by understanding their consequences. That's the key to the journey. Knowledge is the path to redemption. You can't save yourself if you don't know where you're lost. You must descend to the bottom of the well to be able to climb out. Dante also speaks to us of fame. In Purgatory, we are reminded that earthly renown is merely a puff of wind. Today it blows here, tomorrow there. What endures is the soul's truth. However, Dante seeks poetic fame. It's a paradox. He wants to be crowned poet in his baptistry. He knows his work is great. It's a fascinating blend of humility before God and artistic pride. Ultimately, the Divine Comedy is a love story. but not a cliché romantic love. It's a love that matures. It begins as desire for Beatrice and ends as adoration for the source of all beauty. Dante invites us to transhumanize, a verb he invented. It means to go beyond the human, to spiritually evolve until our eyes can bear the light of truth. Every reader finds their own hell and their own paradise in the book. For some, it's addiction. For others, political wrath. For others, the quest for peace. That's why 700 years later, we continue to read it. Because as long as there are human beings who sin, suffer, and hope, Dante will be our contemporary. His legacy is incalculable. From Michelangelo to T.S. Eliot, from cinema to video games, Dante's iconographical imagery is the default map of our cultural afterlife. Dante died in exile in Ravenna, never returning to Florence. But his vengeance was perfect. Florence now begs for his bones, but Ravenna keeps them. His dignity remained intact. So, when you look at the starry sky tonight, remember the Florentine who believed those stars moved by love. Remember that for Dante, the universe isn't a cold, empty machine, but a love letter written in galaxies and spheres waiting to be read. He reminds us that politics without morality is tyranny, that intellect without love is demonic cunning, and that hope is the ultimate key that unlocks closed doors. We've journeyed a long way from the dark wood to the vision of God. I hope the summary has sparked a desire to read the original work. Don't be afraid of ancient poetry. There are countless excellent translations. Give Dante a chance to be your personal Virgil. Analyze your own hells. What beasts prevent you from ascending the mountain? What guides do you need to find? The comedy is in the end a mirror. The architecture Dante built still stands. Its foundations are justice, its walls are hope, and its roof is ineffable light. If we understand Dante, we understand a fundamental part of what it means to be human in the West. We are heirs to his anguish and his ecstasy. Thank you for joining me on this descent and ascent. Exploring these ideas requires patience, and I appreciate your time and curiosity. The history of philosophy and literature is vast. Dante is just one peak in an immense mountain range. But what a magnificent peak he is. Let's keep seeking, keep reading, keep asking. The dark wood is always near, but there's always a path toward the stars. If this analysis has made you think, if it has challenged or inspired you, then my mission today is accomplished. Knowledge is a good that grows when shared. Remember that the Divine Comedy isn't a book to leave on the shelf. It's a survival guide for the soul. Use it. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing. It greatly helps us continue to bring you these in-depth analyses. Let me know in the comments which circle of hell you find most terrifying, or which sphere of paradise you'd like to visit. I read all of them. I'm your companion on this adventure of knowledge. See you in the next video as we continue to unravel the mysteries of our culture. Until then, may the love that moves the sun and the other stars illuminate your paths. Until next time.